Korean culture can be hard to understand just as much as the language. Understanding what's implied between the lines can actually make your Korean better than any vocabulary and grammar. Welcome to KoreanKims. I'm Tori, and today we will explore some peculiar and notorious culture traits of Korean culture that are essential to learning the language. Once you understand these aspects, grasping Korean grammar will become much easier. Then, let's dive into it. We have polite words and formal ways to put it in English, but Korean, right off the bat, has two completely different modes of politeness. As a kid, when I met a new friend on the playground, I used to ask, "Hi, how old are you?" Not "how are you?" Because age determines whether I should be polite or not to the kid. Yes, kids on the playground. I know it may sound silly and strange, but it's a big part of Korean culture. 존댓말, or the polite mode, is used when you should lower yourself, usually in front of elder people. And just 1 year older does make them elder to you. You should also speak in the polite mode when you want to be formal. For example, when you want to say hello, you could say 안녕. But the polite mode wants you to say 안녕하십니까 or 안녕하세요. Conversely, if you are older than your counterpart or you two are quite close, you can speak in 반말, which is informal mode. In this case, you can simply put it 안녕. One thing to note is that Koreans usually take this pretty seriously. Any informality without explicit consent can put you on a social trial. Of course, if they recognize you as a newcomer, then you might get away with it. But if you are learning Korean for the first time, I highly recommend you to stick to 존댓말. This is because Korean value hierarchy, and you are more likely to avoid awkward situation if you use the polite version. If you don't know anything about the other person, or if it's not that much important at the moment, just use 존댓말. I myself also use it frequently in real life. Speaking of real life, emotion and relationship take a big role in Korean society. Koreans try their best to avoid making people feel uncomfortable. For that reason, we tend to keep some possibilities a tad open for the sake of conversation. For example, when you run into a Korean friend, they might say, "Hey, let's have dinner sometime." They are not actually talking about going out to it. It's kind of an expression of kindness, showing the possibility that we might go out to eat. Also, when customers are leaving a store in a mall without buying anything, they usually say, "I'll come back after looking around," to the staff. Of course, they don't plan to come back to the store, but by saying this, they can show that they regret not buying anything. And at the same time, they can leave it open for when it turns out they actually come back for something they like. Not only that, when Koreans decline someone's offer, they usually say, "It might not work out for us." It doesn't mean might. Actually, it's clear no. The indirect way is usually considered a form of politeness in Korea. Cultural anthropologist Edward Holt distinguished between high context and low context culture based on how information is communicated. High context culture are indirect and unclear in their communication, and they value relationship with others. In contrast, low context culture are clear and direct when they communicate, and people make their intentions clear, words and text. And Korean culture is, you guessed it, it's a high context culture, which is why the difference between English and Korean can be huge here. Therefore, in the Korean language, depending on the context, subject and object can be omitted if they are implied. This habit of language can confuse Korean learners. For example, let's say, "I love you." In English, it's totally clear who loves whom. But in Korean, you can say 난 너를 사랑해. But actually, most Korean people say 사랑해, love. In this case, we just omit 난 daughter, which is I and you. So the subject and object are left to be imagined and inferred from the context rather than directly stated. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will bring you more informative video next time. I wish you all the best your Korean studies. See you next time. Bye!